I don't.
That's recording.
Start, right?
This is recording.
Good?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, let's bring Improvement Service Committee to order. Let it be recorded that Vanderleest, Nicholson, Worry, Nenny are present. Approval of the agenda. Motion by Nenning. Second by Vanderleest. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes, motion carried.
Okay, hang on.
Who's the first motion?
Netting and Vanderleest?
Yep.
Yeah, they have to put everything down now as we do it.
Okay, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vanderleest, second by
Second.
Worry. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
A motion carried. Okay, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on March 28th, 2018.
Did we just do that?
Yep.
Okay, well then why is it repeating on here then?
Yeah.
All right, let's move to new business. One, consideration of possible action on a request by the Department of Public Works to enter in a professional service agreement with AECOM for construction services for the bridge, Atkinson Drive, over CN WC Railroad. Steve?
Last meeting, we told you that we had been working with AECOM on a proposal and we had not gotten that hammered out yet, so we asked to delay that for 2 weeks. We did finally get the contract language back and the inspection services. AECOM, this is some pretty specialized bridge inspection services. It's our staff doesn't have that expertise, so rather, when we first started the project, we had considered having AECOM do all of the inspection. That came back a little bit more expensive than we really wanted to pay, so we re-scoped it. Anything that our staff can inspect, we're going to inspect, so we'll be splitting the inspection duties and working hand in hand with the AECOM staff. They have bridge inspectors and senior bridge inspectors who've got this critical inspection expertise. Fee schedules came back for a bridge inspector at $89 an hour, a senior bridge inspector at $104 an hour, and project management at $101 an hour. Jim and I had an opportunity to go through and take a look. I can tell you, based on 10 years ago when I was in consulting, these are extremely favorable rates, especially 10 years after. So the total contract value is anticipated to be $75,300, so staff would recommend awarding the contract to, so approving this action to award the contract with AECOM in an amount not to exceed $75,300.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Worry, second by
Second.
Nenning. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Two, consideration, possible action on a request with the Department of Public Works.
Hang on just a second, we gotta get the action log.
Do the vote. Motion to open curve, and then mark all this back.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep.
It's new for them too.
Save us, save us.
Pass. Then
Where's the snippet?
Deep in.
Insert that.
Time-saving technology.
Yeah, there we go. Makes all the other meetings quicker except Andy's. It slows it up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, we're good.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Steve?
So what we're looking at is consideration with possible action on a request by the Department of Public Works to contract with the low competent engineering consultant to update the city's stormwater management plan by completing a citywide source loading and management model analysis. Back in 2006 or 2007, we did the first SLAM analysis. That's what the surface loading and management model, SLAM. And that's a stormwater management. It takes a look at the pollutant loads, the suspended solids that are coming out of each of the individual stormwater basins within the city. Based off of that original SLAM model from, again, 2007, 2006, 2007, somewhere in there, We identified a number of projects, and that wound up being a lot of the ponds or other stormwater management devices that we've built over the last 10 years. The SLAM model has increased in sensitivity, it's been updated. There are additional treatment alternatives that are available within the new SLAM analysis that weren't available 10 years ago. And we've picked a lot of the low-hanging fruit from the original analysis. 10 years after, it's time to go back, revisit that SLAM model, rerun the numbers using the new parameters that are in the model, and see what other stormwater management projects shake out of this analysis. So we went out for consultant quotations, received 2 back from McMahon Associates and 1 from Brown and Caldwell. Brown and Caldwell, that name may sound familiar because they helped us out with our the CMOM for the sanitary as well. McMahon came back with a price of $125,300. The Brown and Caldwell came back at $87,247. So staff is recommending award to Brown and Caldwell in the amount of $87,247.
Okay, if there are no questions or concerns, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vanderleest to approve, second by
Second.
Nenning, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes, motion carried. 3, consideration of possible action on the request of Department of Public Works to perform a sidewalk study on East Mason Street from Main to I-43. Steve Grenier.
Got to add the snippets.
That's
No,
okay.
that's okay.
We can go back and get that. Go ahead.
One more. Nope. That's it.
Okay. This action item was, when the communication came in, normal process would have it coming to INS, then INS would make a recommendation to send it on to traffic would complete the study. Once they're done with the study, it comes back to traffic, they send it on to INS for implementation. When this communication came in, it actually went to both INS and traffic simultaneously. So it's already on the agenda of traffic committee, recommend receive and place on file here, and it'll just start going through the process, skipping a step.
Okay. Entertain a motion if there are no concerns or questions.
Move to receive it and place it on file.
Okay, there's a motion to receive and place on file by Nenning, second by Worry, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 4, consideration of possible action on a report of the purchasing manager. Rick?
We have 2 requests here. I'd kind of like to take them together. The first item is a chassis, and the second item is are bodies for refuse trucks, the sidewinders. We're requesting permission to piggyback off of prior year purchases. Both vendors are maintaining their prices. There was an attachment in your handout from a recommendation from Fleet Manager Walkington in support of this action. And essentially, we're getting 2016 pricing on the Autocar chassis and 2017 pricing on the Labrie body. And this has been a great combination for the department. Prior to this marriage, we had a lot of headaches, particularly on the bodies from previous manufacturers.
Any questions, concerns? If not,
Motion to approve.
motion to approve by Vanderleest, second by
Second.
Nenning, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Nays, motion carried. Was that it, Rick?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, 5, report on award of the contract bridge 1-18 Atkinson Drive over CN's WC Railroad. Steve Grenier.
This is an item that we talked about at the last committee meeting. Oh, you already have it?
Yeah.
Okay. That there was a timeliness aspect to this, so we requested authorization to award the contract and report it out so we can get that contractor started, especially on, it usually takes almost a month to get their paperwork in order. So in order to make sure we can hit the ground running and get this contract done. So we did receive 2 bids, one from Lunda Construction, one from Zenith Tech. Lunda was the low responsive bidder at $908,880.05. This fits well within the money we had set aside in the CIP and we had in our bond request last week. So staff went ahead and made the notification to Lunda that we're going to award that contract, and we are reporting that out to you now.
Move to receive and place on file the report.
Second?
Motion to receive and place on file by Nenning, second by Wary, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 6, consideration of possible action under the review and award of the contract pavement repair 2018. Director Grenier.
Okay, you should in your packet have a copy of the bid summary for pavement repair 2018. 2 bids received. Fisher Ullman Construction, the low responsive bidder at $800,275. Again, this pavement repair contract is a needs-based contract citywide. So any pavement repairs that we would need, if there's utility cuts or curb and gutter that needs to be repaired that's not associated with another contract, these folks will go around citywide and take care of those pavement repairs. So Fisher Ullman we have been working with in various capacities on different contracts for the last several years. Good qualified contractor. The price came in very well, so we're happy with that. Recommend approval.
So moved.
Motion by Worry to approve, second by Vanderleest, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Nays, motion carried. 7, consideration of possible action on the review and award contract resurfacing 1-18. Director Grenier.
Okay. This is our annual resurfacing contract. A couple of meetings ago, we awarded the sewer contract that goes along with this. So now this is the paving end of things. Just to refresh your memory, there are 2 parts to the contract, a Part A and a Part B. The Part A is a lot of the prep work and curb and gutter work associated with the resurfacing contract, things of that nature. Then the Part B is the actual asphalt resurfacing. Did have 2 contractors for each part submit bids. Martell Construction was the low responsive bidder for Part 1 in the amount of $249,991 even. Northeast Asphalt was the low responsive bidder for Part B in the amount of $765,787.02. Staff recommends award to both of those respective low responsive bidders.
Okay, if there are no questions or concerns, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Vanderleest, second by
Second.
Nenning, under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 8, consideration of possible action on the review and award of the contract sewers 2-18. Director Grenier.
Okay, Sewers 2-18 is our mini sewer contract. If you remember, we bid this out last year and bids came in significantly over budget. So we did not award a mini sewer contract in 2017. We rescoped it. This year, at the beginning of 2018, we released a revised set of standard specifications, and those standard specs have definitely helped. The last time our standard specs were revised were 1998. So after 20 years, it's time to update your specs. So with the new spec, we were able to bid it out. We had 2 contractors respond. Jossart Brothers Incorporated is the low responsive bidder, and they came in at $340,992. That's still substantially above what prices have been historically, so we did reach out, had a conversation with both contractors who responded. And the short answer is, the way the contract is set up, there's a small amount of work on each street and many streets. So the contractor doesn't set up and just start digging. He sets up, digs a little bit, then he moves to another street and sets up and digs a little bit and moves to another street. Because of that number of mobilizations and moving around the city, the unit cost per pipe is going up. So although we're not overly happy about it, these are the kind of costs that we can expect on a mini storm contract going forward. We may have to go back and take a look at mini storm in the future, but the prices are not going to get any better. So we have the money in the CIP. We do recommend going ahead and getting these folks served. So we recommend award to Jossart Brothers in the amount of $340,922.
Quick question.
Alderman Vanderleest.
I was going to ask you, Steve, is this citywide now on these?
Yes.
We're done on, is it basically where we're doing the road improvements?
No, mini storm comes in, it can be a request by the property owner, it can be a request by the alderperson, or it can be forwarded to the department by inspection department where discharge from a sump pump is creating a nuisance condition. So that's the three typical ways that mini storm comes forward. And again, these properties were ones that were identified prior to the 2017 season, and this is part of the 2017 contract that we did award. We have subsequently received additional requests for mini storm. The intent is to let a second mini storm contract for 2018 as a fall contract.
Because I know there's people in just off Military Avenue that requested for the mini storm, and I think they told that they weren't doing anything that was last year.
Okay, they're probably on the wait list for
Over on Leo
2018
Street in that area? That's not in my district, but I have some family that owns some property over there.
Well,
and they
have
asked-
to get in touch with us.
Okay.
Yeah, there's another contract we're going to be doing in the
Just
summer.
one second, Alderman
installations
Vanderleest, do you have
do you
any
get
more
for this?
questions?
That's it. That's the only question I
Okay,
have. Thank
Alderman
you.
Ninning.
How many installations do you expect to get for this?
Total number of hookups, I'm not sure, but I think I want to say there's 23 moves involved. So 23 different locations where a mini storm is going in. There could be a total of 30 houses being hooked up, but I think there's 23 individual moves.
Okay, thank you.
It's quite a substantial number. It's a little bit out of the norm.
Okay, anything else, Steve?
No.
Okay, any other concerns or questions? If not, entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion by Vanderleest to approve, second by Nenning. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Consideration of possible action on offering price reports for the Webster Avenue project and authorized payment. Director Grenier.
Okay, like we have had on numerous occasions recently, again, what we're looking at is the offering price reports. This is the first step in acquiring real estate or right-of-way that's necessary for the Webster Avenue project. We've got a number of parcels here tonight, so what we are looking at, there's a summary table in the attachments that come along with you, along with the packet. So I'll just quickly read in the parcel numbers, the owner, the type of interest required, and the amount. So parcel number 30 is a temporary limited easement or a TLE with East River of Green Bay LLC in the amount of $475. Parcel 36, a TLE with Todd C. Anderson for the amount of $190. Parcel 37 is a TLE with the trustees of the Diocese of Fond du Lac, $960. Parcel number 39, both fee and TLE with Green Bay Dressed Beef LLC in the amount of $49,030. Parcel 45 is a fee and TLE with Joseph R. Moore in the amount of $400. Parcel 66 is a fee paid with Coppins Rentals LLC in the amount of $24,000. Parcel 70 is a combination of fee and TLE with Zozo World LLC in the amount of $5,620. Parcel 71 is a combination of fee and TLE with ED and Associates, $6,930. Parcel 72 is fee and TLE with GWTGB LLC in the amount of $25,655. Parcel 73 is a TLE with Wisconsin Public Service Corporation in the amount of $60. Parcel 74 is a combination of fee and TLE with Van Lannen Properties LLC in the amount of $275. Parcel 75 is a combination of fee and TLE with Lisa Legis, Merrick, and Craig Merrick in the amount of $280. Parcel 76 is a temporary limited easement with Paul's Pantry in the amount of $50. Parcel 77 is a TLE with Green Bay Packaging Incorporated in the amount of $50. And staff does recommend approval of the offer price reports and authorizing payment therefore.
Any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the recommendations.
Second.
Motion to approve by Nenning, second by Worry. Under discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 10, consideration and possible action on agreements for purchase and sale of real estate for the Webster Avenue project and authorized payments. Director Grenier.
Not too dissimilar from the offer and price reports. Once we get the offer approved, then we actually have a purchase for the real estate acquisition. So we have 4 parcels for consideration tonight. Parcel number 4 with Reginald and Jean Dockstader at 1000 Smith Street in the amount of $89,000. Parcel 9, Molly Barron, 1002 Burner Street in the amount of $115,000. Parcel 10, David G. and Jeanette A. Klaus at 1032 North Webster Avenue, $80,000. Parcel 15, Craig J. Process at 916 North Webster Avenue in the amount of $75,000. Staff recommends approval of the agreement for purchase and sale of real estate and authorized payment.
Any questions or concerns?
Steve, are those houses coming down right away?
Alderman Vanderleest.
No, we are starting to get to the point, in addition to the purchase of the property, the next agenda item we're actually going to be talking about is also the relocation payments. So once the property has been acquired, closed on, and the relocation payment has been made, then the property owner actually moves. We have not gotten through the full process on enough parcels yet. If we go and start knocking the houses down immediately, you wind up paying too high of a unit cost if we can assemble a handful of them and then do a demo contract. So we're waiting to get an assemblage. We're very close, and we anticipate within the next couple of meetings we'll have acquired enough property to do that, but the intent is to get as many of those buildings on the ground over the summer as we can.
How are the property owners, what is their thoughts on it? Are they happy?
Property owners have been fantastic to work with.
That's good.
This project has been in the public eye for a long, long time, so they know that it's coming. I can't say unanimously, but I can say there have been several folks we've talked to. Because Webster is there, sometimes these properties are a challenge to sell. And for somebody to come in, and when we do these projects, part of the real estate acquisition process is determining fair market value. So we're coming in and making a fair market value offer on the home, and you don't have to go through the process of trying to list it and sell it. We've had a handful of these folks indicate that they're very appreciative that we're not coming in with a lowball offer. We're helping to relocate them and put them into a comparable home. So it's actually gone extremely well.
Okay.
We're really happy with it.
Thank you.
Dave, any questions?
No, I move to approve the recommended purchases.
Motion to approve by Nenning, second by Worry. Under discussion, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 11, consideration of possible action on relocation claims for the Webster Avenue project and authorized payments. Director Grenier.
Okay, we have one claim for relocation. That would be parcel 9A, Molly Barron at 1002 Burner Street. What was originally listed in, and is probably in your packet, the amount is $83,211. Subsequent to the original relocation claim, some additional expenses were incurred by Ms. Barron, which resulted in an additional $310 expense. This has been vetted through the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, and they are in agreement with it. So what we are looking for would be a motion to amend the amount from $83,211 to $83,521, and then approve the amended amount.
Okay, any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Director
Jim
Grenier.
just showed me. That was one of the 3. There's actually 2 more. So we have parcel 4, Reginald and Jean Dockstader at 1000 Smith Street in the amount of $55,900. Parcel 5A, Brian Coles, 1003 Smith Street in the amount of $58,000. $800. So we'd be amending one and approving all three with the amendment noted.
Any questions or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion to that effect. Alderman Nenning?
Well, it's a little bit complicated. You're amending one of them and then approving it as amended.
Correct.
And the other two you're approving as recommended.
Correct. And in the future, if we have an amendment like that, we'll list it as a separate
Okay.
agenda item. This kind of came up last minute, and we're first meeting with the new software. We're kind of learning too.
So the motion.
So
would be-
what we could do is we could take
Let's take the amendment
we could
first.
take the amendment first and then adopt all three as amended.
Correct.
Okay. Move to approve the recommended amendment for 1002 Berners Street.
Motion on the floor by Nenning to approve the amendment.
Second.
That's recommended by staff.
Second.
Is that fair enough, Steve?
Yep.
Okay,
Motion by
and there's a
Manning,
second by Worry.
To amend.
We're under discussion. Hear none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Now I'll entertain a motion to approve the whole shebang here.
Make a motion to approve the recommendations with the amendment, or as amended.
To approve all three payments as amended.
Yeah.
All three payments.
To all three relocation claims as
Okay,
amended.
there is a motion on the floor by Nenning to accept all three payments,
Second.
and there's a second on my Worry. Under discussion?
One quick question. Steve, now,
Alderman
can you
Van der
explain
Leest.
exactly how that relocation fees, how that plays out, so we got a better scope of it?
There are certain qualifying expenses that go into a relocation payment. So if moving expenses are part of it, if you need money up front to get the gas or electrical hooked up, you can claim that. If there's a difference between the property that you're selling and the property that you're moving into, and the DOT agrees with that price differential, that can be part of the relo expense. Normally, if it's an arm's length transaction between a willing buyer and a willing seller, you're just selling your home. You have the ability to negotiate with the buyer to say, I'm gonna give you $1,000 allowance for carpeting or for paint or what have you. That negotiation allowance does not exist when the DOT is involved in purchasing a property. So they simply go out, they establish what the fair market value of the property is, and that's what you get offered. So if there are some of those allowances that need to be taken into account during the real estate negotiation, that gets picked up under the relocation expense.
So
And
could you just
again,
give an example on just one of those? Let's just pick one of those. What would be the actual selling cost and the relocation fee?
That's going to be hard for me to give you because we may not have all of those documents
Okay.
at tonight's meeting. We may have approved the sale 2 meetings ago, and we're doing the reload tonight. But let me see if I've got, oh, that's temporary easements. Okay, for instance, the property at 1000 Smith Street. When they did this is a replacement home payment compensation. When we acquired that property from the Dogstaters, the fair market value of that property was $89,000, so that's what we offered them to purchase it.
Okay.
When they did the comps, the 3 comps they had came out at the sale price of the most comparable dwelling was $144,900. So the difference between the comp at $144,900 and the actual offer that we gave them for fair market value at $89,000 is $55,900. So that's the relo payment that they're requesting.
Wow.
It's DOT and federal highways. That's how they do.
Who's picking up that tab?
I think the relo payments and the real estate, that's us. So technically, if we were an arm's length buyer seller, and we were buying that house, it's probably worth 144.9, but the way that DOT comps the fair market value, it only came out at 89. So instead of having it in the purchase price, we make up the difference through this relocation payment.
So in other words, it's costly to relocate, in other words.
Absolutely, yeah. So what I can tell you is we've not found a purchase price or a reload payment that was something we haven't expected. We've done a lot of this acquisition. God, I've been buying up properties. You know, Tom Giese is my right-of-way specialist, and I've been working with Tom on these things almost continuously since we did Military Avenue in 2010. The prices we're seeing out here are definitely not out of line.
All right, that's all the questions I have then. Thank you.
Sure.
Appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? If not, entertain a motion.
I think we've got a motion on the.
Oh, we do?
Yep, we just
Okay.
need to vote.
All right. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 12, consideration of possible action on deed and temporary limited easements for the Erie Road project and authorized payments. Director Grenier.
Seeing as you guys have been having so much fun and doing such a great job acquiring real estate interests on North Webster, we have a project going out on Erie Road at East Mason for the Nature's Way development out there. When we look at Erie Road south of East Mason Street, we had a mess out there. It's a combination of old 3-rod road right-of-way, 60-foot right-of-way, 70-foot right-of-way. The right-of-way just jogs in and out. It follows old parcel lines, current parcel. It's just a god-awful mess. So we know what we'd like that right-of-way to be from this point moving forward. We've been working with the property owners to purchase up. They're small strips, thin strips of right-of-way up and down Erie Road. So we have 5 parcels we're picking up. Actually, I guess it's 4 parcels in a variety of different manners. So parcel number 1, we've got a fee acquisition, so we're actually taking title to that piece of property, but again, it's a thin strip. That's $10. We're picking up an additional temporary limited easement on parcel number 1 from Erie Road Properties in the amount of $10. Parcels 2 and 3, a temporary limited easement from Erie Road Properties in the amount of $10. Parcel number 7 from Piarkey Family Limited Partnership et al. In fee, so we're taking title to that in the amount of $22,400. And then from parcel 7, we're acquiring an additional temporary limited easement from the Piarkey Family Limited Partnership et al. In the amount of $10. And staff recommends approval.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Vanderlee, second by Nenning. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 13, consideration of possible action on storm sewer easement for the Hillcrest Drive project and authorized payments. Director Grenier.
Because we can't have all the fun on the east side, we've got a project coming up on Hillcrest Drive on the far west side in District 12. We will be having the public hearing for the Hillcrest Drive and Haven Place project at our next INS meeting. So this will be coming up. There is a storm sewer easement that needs to be acquired out on Hillcrest Drive. So tax parcel ID 6H-824-8. It's a permanent limited easement from Richard J. and Mary A. Otradovic in the amount of $10. Staff recommends approval.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve by Nenning, second by
Second.
Wary. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 14, consideration possible action on applications for concrete sidewalk builder's license by the following. You want this all together, Steve?
Yes, I think we're good with all of them.
Okay.
Move to approve the applications for contract sidewalk builder licenses.
Do you want me to read the company names, Steve?
No, I don't think we have to. A through G, and they're going to be listed both in the. They're listed on the agenda, and they will be called out by name A through G in the motion.
Okay. Here's an approval by Nenning to approve A through G, second by Vanderleest. Under discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. 15, consideration of possible action on an application for tree brush trimmer license by Beaver Tree Specialists. Director Grenier.
Beaver has held the license in the past, so we do recommend approval.
Okay. Concerns are, motion on the floor by Vanderleest, second by
What was it?
Weary. Under discussion.
Did you repeat the motion? All right.
Was it
All in
motion?
favor?
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Informational.
Sorry,
Pardon?
sorry, I spoke up kind of quick there.
Oh, you
There was
wanna
a
talk
motion
about it?
No, motion to approve it was granted, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director's report on recent activities of the Public Works Department. Director Grenier.
Two short items for you. We actually did start spring yard waste cleanup on Monday. You may not know it because of all the snow around, but we did start it on Monday. I have been in contact with the operations division staff, given how spring is not showing up. We're going to continue to monitor those conditions, and we'll report out to you at a future meeting whether or not we're going to adjust the end date on spring yard waste collection. So we are looking at it. We understand people haven't been able to get out, so we will continue to monitor that situation and advise you accordingly. Then just one other thing to let you folks know about. There is another band of heavy snow anticipated this weekend. So if folks are asking about yard waste and things like that, we're looking at anywhere from 5 to 12 inches over the weekend.
That's crazy.
Lastly, on behalf of Jim and myself, as you heard from the Parks Committee, we do appreciate working with the four of you over the last 2 years. We're as anxious as some of you are to see what the committee assignments are, but we definitely enjoyed working with the four of you. And Dave, we wish you well in your next endeavor.
Thank you very much.
Then the only other thing I think we need to, yeah, we're going to have to suspend for about 20 minutes.
Motion first,
Well, sure. Well, I'm still giving my report. So, we'll have to suspend until 6 o'clock for the public hearing, and then hold the public hearing at 6, and we can conclude the meeting.
Okay.
But that's the director's report.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or concerns? If not, entertain a motion.
Move to recess the meeting until a 6 p.m. public hearing.
Well, do you want to dispose of Steve's report?
place and file first.
Well, okay. Well, do we still make motions to approve informational reports? I was told that we don't.
Who told you?
Well, when we were talking about the park one, I thought that, okay. I'll make a motion
You
to
just
approve
receive and place on
the
file.
Motion by Nenning to receive and place on file, second by Vanderleest. Under discussion here, none, all in favor.
Aye.
Nays, motion carried. Motion to,
Motion to recess the Meeting of Improvement Services Committee until the public hearing at 6 p.m.
motion to recess until 6 p.m.
Second.
Okay, there's more second by Weary. Under discussion here, none, all in favor. Nays, motion carried. I gotta figure something.
From county?
Bill Clancy, that's Bill Clancy. He retired.
Oh, did everybody have their faith?
Yeah, they had a thing.
Clancy?
He retired.
Yeah.
Okay, Alderman We're good to go.
All right. We will come to order. The Improvement Service Committee for public hearings, 6 o'clock. And we'll note that Alderman Vanderleest is here, Alderman Nenning, Alderman Nicholson had to step away, so I'll be chairing it while he's in his absence. And Director Grenier.
We can start off with the engineer's report. So this is the engineer's report for the public hearing held on April 11th, 2018. In accordance with state statute 66.0703, this public hearing is being held to levy assessments for the proposed pavement improvements which are included in the 2018 Capital Improvements Program. All of the projects being considered tonight will be included in contracts administered by the City of Green Bay Department of Public Works Engineering Division. All of the proposed assessments are being levied in accordance with the city's assessment ordinance. During construction, the contractor is required to provide access to all businesses at all times and residences as much as practical. When a residential driveway is inaccessible, the property owners or tenants can receive permission from the city police department to park on adjoining streets. Problems during construction should be brought to the attention of the Department of Public Works Engineering Division by calling 448-3100. Asphalt pavement. Smith Street from North Webster Avenue to St. George Street is classified as a local street in a predominantly residential zoned area. The existing concrete street is in poor condition and in need of reconstruction. Smith Street will be reconstructed with a 3 1/4 inch asphalt pavement over a gravel base with a clear width of 34 feet from North Webster Avenue to North Clay Street and 30 feet from North Clay Street to St. George Street. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $336,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main will be reconstructed, replaced, and/or rehabilitated prior to pavement construction. New storm sewer will also be installed from North Webster Avenue to North Clay Street. No assessments will be levied for sanitary sewer, storm sewer, or water main improvements. St. George Street from Day Street to Eastman Avenue is classified as a local street located in a predominantly residential zoned area. The existing asphalt pavement is in poor condition and in need of reconstruction. St. George Street will be reconstructed with a 3 1/4 inch asphalt pavement over a gravel base with a clear width of 36 feet. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $188,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water main will be reconstructed, replaced, and/or rehabilitated prior to pavement reconstruction. No assessments will be levied for the sewer and water main improvements. Mather Street from Gray Street to Roman Street is classified as a collector in a predominantly residential zoned area. The existing concrete street is in poor condition and in need of reconstruction. Mather Street will be reconstructed with a 4-inch asphalt pavement over a gravel base with a clear width of 36 feet. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $746,580. Storm sewer will be reconstructed prior to pavement reconstruction. No assessments will be levied for storm sewer improvements. Concrete pavement. Erie Road from East Mason Street to 900 feet south of East Mason Street is classified as a local street in a light manufacturing zone area. The existing asphalt road is a rural road section in poor condition and in need of reconstruction. Erie Road will be reconstructed with a concrete pavement with integral curb over a gravel base and a typical clear width of 40 feet. The estimated cost of pavement construction is $350,000. Sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water will be installed prior to pavement reconstruction. Assessments will be levied separately for sewer and water improvements. The estimated cost of sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water are $1.5 million, $480,000, and $130,000 respectively.
All right, now if anybody didn't get a chance to, there's comment cards. If you wanted to talk, just come up. There's one up here, we can get one over here, but I think everybody probably filled one out. Are we taking one street at a time, or just as they're filled out?
I think we'll just take them as they're filled out.
That works.
That's Smith St. George.
What's that?
That's Smith St. George.
Okay, so we've got everything organized right now for Smith St. George. I think a motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Okay, make a motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Motion by Alderman Nennig, second by Alderman Vanderleest to open the floor for interested parties. Discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, the floor is going to be open for any comments or questions regarding the...
So the first speaker would be, is it Margaret Burles? 1203 Smith?
Yeah.
Okay, you would not like to speak? Okay. She has filled out a comment card saying that she is against the project. Nikki Griffin, 2669 Indian Hill.
Well, that's where I live. but we have properties on Smith Street.
Yep, ma'am, if you don't mind, if you can just
Okay.
come up here, that's right. Then we can hear you and you'll be,
Okay. We were just hoping that we could postpone it until the wheel tax, which is probably going to go through, goes through. So that's, we were just hoping to postpone it. We're not necessarily against it, but postponing it until the wheel tax goes through.
which street is that for? The
Smith,
the Smith, okay. Thank you.
and that's all. Thank you. By the way, hi, Steve.
Okay, next would be Catherine Olson, 1160 Smith Street.
My concern is the cost of it. I mean, obviously, it's a bumping, we'd be better off with a gravel road there right now. It needs to be done. I'd like to know the cost. I mean, I'm working my butt off to make ends meet, you know, and then I get this slapped at me. You get flood insurance besides. For a different meeting, we need to get all of us out of the flood zone because there hasn't been a flood in over 100 years, and that's a federal issue. I'd like to know the difference between why asphalt versus concrete, and I'd also like to be assured that within a year that it's not going to be ripped up again, because when I lived on Sycamore Drive, they asphalt Old Manitowoc Road, and a year later it was ripped up because they forgot to cut the manhole covers. So at this point, it needs work, it needs repair. The alley also needs repair. That's a bumping nightmare. You know, but cost is a big factor. Now, then also, how long is this project going to take? When is the guesstimated time frame? And I learned tonight that bids haven't even gone out. So this is just kind of a, numbers were thrown out there, getting people for, against, with millions of dollars at stake, but real no bids out there. So that's my concern, that's what I have to say.
Director Grenier, you want to address things as we go along, or should we compile it and?
Well, if you'd like, we could definitely address.
Yeah, if you could.
Can I give you an assurance that something's not going to be done again? No, I can't. What I can tell you is the way the city's assessment policy works is if an assessment's been levied on a street, there is a 20-year warranty that goes along with that. So if we have to come back in and do any work on that street before that 20 years expires, there's a credit that's given back on any future assessments.
Okay.
So if we were to come in, for whatever reason, we had to come back into that street in 10 years' time, only half of that expected life would go in, the future assessments would be cut in half.
Okay.
Okay? I can tell you that I have never, in the 10 years I've been with the Department of Public Works, I have never spoken to a resident who likes assessments.
I know.
Okay? So I understand what you're going through.
We'll be selling lemonade out on the street, and no, I'm not going to apply for a permit.
I get it. We simply enforce the ordinance as it's written. That's, you know,
Yeah, I know.
we're doing our job.
Why the difference, why the choice asphalt versus concrete? I mean, most of the highways are concrete.
A local street, more often than not, we do a lot of it's a life cycle cost analysis that we look at. And for local streets, the asphalt has a better cost over its life. There really isn't a need, based on the anticipated loads that we're going to see out there, for a concrete street. So you're paying a lot of extra money for something that's not going to give you any benefit.
Because of the less chance of heavy trucks and semis.
Correct.
Right.
Now, there are some streets around Green Bay in residential areas that are concrete, and there are reasons for that. It may have been how things have changed over the year. I know there are certain areas in the city that back in the 70s, in residential areas, there's a lot of them that were paved in concrete. Now, we still to this day, okay, I'm only 50 years old, but we and my staff, we collectively refer to them as the oil embargo streets. I'm old enough to remember the oil embargoes in the 70s. And that's what happened, was oil prices went so high that concrete became more economical to pave with than asphalt. So we were paving the residential streets with 6-inch concrete instead of asphalt. A lot of it is it's an economic analysis that we look at for the life cycle of paving.
Okay, and then my last question, how long of a project?
Overall, what do we got in for
A
anticipated?
guesstimate, I mean.
Yeah, initially it was gonna be about end of July, early August start, and then late October, early November end for both the utility and the paving contract.
Depending on the,
Yeah, so about 4 to 5 months.
depending if winter ends.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next would be Thomas DePaz, 139 Rose Lane.
In lieu of so-called wheel tax, I would suggest to eliminate all construction until the council can get their stuff together and settle, which I don't agree with the wheel tax, unless you can tax the guy who owns rental property in the city and lives in Denmark. How are you gonna collect a wheel tax from him? He's not gonna pay any tax to fix the streets. He keeps voting against it, but he's gonna get his street fixed, and his tenants are gonna pay the wheel tax. I think that's wrong. I don't agree with the wheel tax. I think we have to get together and just, I'd be honest with you, I don't like taxes just like anybody else. But by the same token, I'd rather pay $100 a year. So 10 years from now, I don't have to come up with $9,000 to pay for a piece of street that was actually donated to the city when it was built. And the city's trucks, whether they be garbage trucks, leaf trucks, everything, they're the ones that are damaging the roads. It isn't the pedestrian driving their cars, it's the trucks. And we as taxpayers, it's our trucks are doing the damage to our roads. I think that the asphalt, if I can remember correct from my towns association meetings I used to go to, has gotten better. But water is still one of the biggest things. Without maintaining them correctly, they'll deteriorate just like anything else. Water is damaging for concrete and blacktop. But I just think that with the way this whole council thing is shifted now, you got a change coming in. I would recommend to stop all construction of road projects to save these people money until a tax has been changed. I just think it's wrong. It's an opinion, and I know David for, 40 years? When he was just a young whippersnapper. So yeah, but I just think that it doesn't make sense to assess these people. Come January, they have to get a bill, and then next spring, they decide a wheel tax, and they paid their money. I just think it's wrong. I think, let's wait. Maybe the council can get some things together and do the right thing. That's hope, and it's always good for hope. Thanks.
Thank you.
Next speaker would be Deborah Peterson, 1029 St. George.
I'm just going to sit here because I have a sore leg. I bought my house, my grandfather's house, and there is a driveway that I was told that they're going to take out now. And isn't that in the grandfather clause that that driveway stays there? Because that's how I go into my yard to unload my groceries, because otherwise I gotta go through my garage, and that's farther to go from my garage than I pull up right to my back door. And now they're saying that they're gonna take that out. I would like that to stay in there, because years ago that was a lot. There was 3 lots in my yard, and the 1 lot is in the back with the garage that goes to the alley, and then the other 2 are my house. But years ago, that was all garden, years ago from my grandfather. And he was saying that the sidewalk goes out too, unless that you say that that goes in there with the sidewalk, that's between the sidewalk and the road. I hope that they put that back in, because that was there.
Well, Director, do you have any?
What I can do, if you can just add your telephone number to this, My staff members are here tonight.
Okay.
We will meet with you separately and follow
Okay.
up on that.
Okay. And another thing is that I live across from the park. And during the summer, there's no place to park. Is there any way that you can put parking in there? I thought they were gonna put the parking in the front of the park instead of parking on the road. That's why they bought them 3 houses.
Well, that sounds like that might be a,
That would be actually a communication, and as luck would have it, your soon to be sworn in alderperson is here tonight.
Yeah, I see that.
So that would be,
Okay.
if you have a request to change parking regulations, I would suggest you get together with your alder and she can come and talk to us, and we can help her on how to get that to the traffic commission for consideration.
Okay. And wasn't that East St. George, wasn't that just redone with the sewer?
I don't think we had any work on
I
St.
think
George
that was-
the sanitary sewer was relayed with PVC from Smith to Eastman Avenue.
That
And
was just
that was
done.
replaced recently, that's why we're not touching it.
Okay.
We are making connections to it, but we're leaving the existing in place.
Okay. Part of the reason for the Smith and St. George project is because of the road ponding, the high water in the roads, the flooding that happens out there. Next year, well, this year we're starting utility work. We'll be doing sanitary sewer and water main construction with the Webster Avenue project from University up to Radisson. And next year, the Department of Transportation is going to be coming in and doing the storm sewer and the pavement along Webster Avenue to alleviate the flooding conditions or the high water conditions that have occurred over the years on Smith and St. George. We need to do the improvements there and tie all that storm sewer into the Webster Avenue project, which is why this project got accelerated to this point. Because we're spending about $15 million on Webster for the department, my staff and I, we feel it's money well spent to go out there and take care of the water issues on Smith and St. George at this time, because that will tie into the Webster project. That's why the projects were selected.
And now what happens if there is a main that breaks with the water? And they go dig all that up?
Are they
And
planning
that's
on doing a
new-
water main replacement as part of this job?
yes.
Okay, so
Oh,
all the
so
water
all-
main's going to be upgraded,
Oh, okay.
and the storm sewer, the sanitary sewer work, and the water mains, that's all being done at no additional cost to any residents. The only assessments that are currently being considered are on the pavement.
And that's included the gutter and the curb?
That's part of the pavement, yes. So Catherine Olson wanted to speak again?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if you could, please, yeah.
Pardon me?
If you could please come up, Dan.
My voice carries anyways. No, I just, the other gentleman reminded me of the fact that there is so many homeowners versus rental properties on Smith Street. How are you gonna collect from a landlord who lives in Florida, who cannot come back to Wisconsin due to a warrant for her arrest?
How would we collect the assessments?
Correct.
Okay, the way the assessments work, after the project has been completed and approved by the Department of Public Works, we run a resolution through the Common Council, and that resolution accepts the street, officially opens the street, or reopens the street, and then has the assessments levied. That's when a bill will come to any individual property owner. We'll mail that bill to the property owner's address, not necessarily the street address. So even if the property owner lives out of town, the invoice comes to the property owner. At the time that the invoice shows up, it's listed as net 30, which means you have 30 days to pay that bill in full. You can pay any, all, or none of the bill. After 30 days, any unpaid balance automatically gets converted to 5 equal annual payments which go onto the property tax. So if somebody lost the invoice, if somebody just looked at it and said, you know what, I'm not paying it, it automatically goes to the property tax and becomes part of the property tax bill.
Okay, so if we talk to the mailman, we can get him to lose the mail, those invoices, like he loses the rest of my mail. So then it just and those of us that have a mortgage, then it would just be automatically goes into the mortgage because the real estate taxes are paid out of the mortgage.
I would imagine most banks do something like that. I'm not sure, but I would imagine.
Okay, so the property owner, no matter where they reside,
yes,
will be known.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker is Patty Detry at 1161 Smith.
Detry.
Detry?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Patty Detry. My husband Dale and I have lived at on Smith Street for 12 years. And I'm very much for this. This has to be done. This street has flooded for more than 20 years. Practically every time it rains, you already know this, it floods. And I'm so glad it's finally being done. I think the price is very reasonable. I'm very surprised. Obviously, you're subsidizing this one. You said that we won't be charged for the additional work, the water main lines and things like that. I'll let my husband know about that. This is very affordable. I think you've accommodated all of us with the 5 annual installments, and I'm grateful for that. As far as waiting for a wheel tax, if there's going to be a wheel tax that affects the cost of this project, then I'm asking that you somehow you send out a form to the people that need the reimbursement. If it includes us, the residents there, not just the landlords, which it will, then I would think that we would expect you to reimburse us for that. But this really is a necessity. That's basically all I can say. My one question to you is, there was a difference in the depth of the pavement, and I don't know anything about your profession, your expertise.
Sure.
So 3 3/4 versus 4 inches?
3 1/4.
3 1/4 versus 4 inches? Like,
sure.
How deep do you go? What's the maximum?
3 1/4 is the standard.
Okay.
The Mather Street project is actually being constructed under a Wisconsin Department of Transportation contract, not a city contract. So DOT has a design manual called the Facilities Development Manual. It's 13 volumes thick, and it draws its origination from the Federal Highway Administration. They have their way of designing pavements, and we have our way of designing pavements. We know that for a residential street, 3 1/4 inches is more than adequate, but the DOT design simply does not allow for anything less than a 4-inch pavement. So if we want to get DOT funding to help offset some of those costs on a street that they are helping to fund, we have to pay it to their thing.
Oh, okay, I understand. Thank you. That's all. I really, there's money out there for this, and I just think that there's just no reason it shouldn't be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, this is going to be for Mather? Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Relative to the Mather Street, we have Jason DeLeese, 702 Columbia.
Alder LaFave, was it regarding the last speaker, or?
Yeah, someone brought up about the absentee landlord lives in Florida. Well, you can put the bill on the taxes for that person. How long before those taxes come due? I mean, if you actually are going to start collecting, would you take the property then after so many years?
Actually, the way special assessments work, special assessments and other charges, and most of the charges that the Department of Public Works has. So long grass and weeds, snow removal, any of the special charges that we have and special assessments are treated the same way. That actually goes down as a lien against the property, and those are satisfied even before the property taxes. So if the charge goes down and somebody says, I'm not going to pay the assessment, I'm only going to pay my property taxes, whatever payment they send in satisfies the assessment or the special charge first, and they wind up delinquent on the property tax bill. That's state law.
Okay, and then how long do you, before you put the lien on?
That happens on day 31. So
Okay,
day 30,
it's up, okay.
technically, it becomes a special charge, or it functions the same as a lien. We don't aggressively push the lien because it automatically implements itself. And again, that could be a voluntary action on behalf of the property owner. They simply just want to pay it in 5 equal annual installments. The effect is exactly the same.
But I'm saying that the lien, how long do you allow that lien on there? Because, well,
The
you got
lien
the 5
automatically
years.
implements over the first 5 years.
Right, because I know there are tax sales that they do because people are so delinquent on the taxes.
And that's something that actually comes out of the county, not out of the city. So that would be a county action to go into tax foreclosure or something like that. I don't know what their rules are on that.
The city doesn't, so would the city ask the county to do the action? Or if you have properties that aren't, I'm just worried about these absentee landlords, you know, that are.
I can understand the concern. What I can tell you is historically, that has never been a problem for us.
Okay.
We have always been successful in collecting the special assessments, even from absentee landlords. That's never been a problem.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Mr. DeLeese, right?
Dallas.
Dallas?
Yes. I live at 702 Columbia Avenue. My question is regarding to the Mather Street. I'm in favor of that. Anybody who's been on that street knows it really needed some work. My question though is, I think that the assessment is a little bit high for the property owners. I don't know if anything can be done about that. I heard possibly with the grant, or the potential of a grant from the DOT, maybe that would lower our portion. I don't know for sure. What is the time frame as far as that getting completed? I know maybe there was some other meetings and that was already addressed, but I wasn't able to attend those. And how will it affect us as far as getting in and out of our driveways? When they were doing the sanitary sewer and the water, they were very accommodating to us as far as getting out, getting back in. But it's obviously different people doing the construction now. Will that still be the same? And with regards to a special assessment, if we don't or can't pay the assessment in full, it gets added to our property taxes. What happens if we sell our property before those 5 years are up? Will that be our responsibility to pay? Will that be the new owners? What would happen in that situation?
Okay. Can anything be done about the assessment rate? Those rates are actually enacted by Common Council by resolution at the beginning of the year. So once the rates are enacted, they're there for the year. So we really can't do anything. Mather is a little bit different because it's a DOT project. As staff has indicated to you, there is some money coming in from the state and the feds on that may offset some of those assessments. We cannot make money. We cannot make more than what it costs to do the construction. So if there's DOT funding, and that DOT, unfortunately for us, I can't take the money that comes in from the DOT and apply it equally to all the streets we're doing this year. That would be nice, but we can't do that. With the agreement we signed between the city and the Department of Transportation, that money can only be attributed to the Mather Street project.
That's good for me, right?
Well, it is for you, it's not so good for the others.
Okay.
So what we do, and this is, God, for over 30 years, the way the department has handled things. On a project like Mather, like Webster next year, where DOT funding is coming in, at the end of the project, we do a cost accounting, and we check to see how much money the city was charged by the DOT to do the construction, and we compare that money to what was gathered through special assessments. If the special assessments exceed the amount of money we had to pay the DOT, we have to reduce those assessments accordingly, and that's what the staff was telling you about. That often happens, but I can tell you it doesn't always happen. So a couple of years ago, we had a project up on Humboldt Road where we reconstructed Humboldt Road on the northeast side of the city, and those project costs actually came in substantially higher than what we were expecting. When it came in substantially higher than what we were expecting, we did not go back and raise the assessment rates. The rates that were published at the beginning of the year are the maximum rates we'll charge, and the city absorbed those extra costs.
Okay.
So sometimes it works out in the property owner's favor, sometimes it works out not in the property owner's favor.
And then, Director, do we have a time frame or of when this project will
This
be
is
done?
a 2018 calendar year construction, so
We're expecting construction to start in early July, and it'll likely last into late October.
probably late
possibly
October
November.
before snow flies.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll be finished this year.
It's definitely slated as an 18 contract, yes.
Okay. As far as access, if you don't mind me adding a couple comments. We are going to be reducing the street to one-way traffic in eastbound direction during this time frame, similar to the traffic that was out there for the lift station construction at the Gray Street intersection about a month ago, or within the last month. But access will need to be provided to you at all times as well. There might be some slight interruptions for the paving operations of curb and gutter and your driveway apron, but those will be coordinated with you, with the contractor.
Okay.
And we, as part of our cooperative work with DOT, we do also work at request that the bid package that DOT puts out, we have similar language written into those bids asking for their coordination with residents. And we found that DOT has always been very responsive in that regard. So their contractors do, oftentimes it's similar contractors or the same contractors that bid on the DOT jobs that bid on our jobs. So those folks are going to be working in Green Bay again. They don't want to make enemies. They want to make sure that they're treating the residents fairly. So they'll still do a real good job of coordinating with you. During construction, even though the DOT and their contractors are going to be out there, Jennifer, who's my construction manager, she's also liaison with the DOT. And if there are special concerns or items that need to be addressed, if you contact us through Jennifer, we'll get those concerns put over to DOT as well.
I think the last question was, what if you spread it out over 5 years and you sell the house in year 2?
Generally speaking, that becomes a private issue between the buyer and the seller. More often than not, what we've seen is the purchaser's title company wants to have clear title. So that's going to show up as an encumbrance against the property. Most title companies will request what's referred to as a letter of special assessments, and that comes through the city clerk's office. City clerk will show that there's an outstanding special assessment that hasn't been fully satisfied. It then comes down to the buyer and seller's title companies or buyer and seller's agent to determine should that be satisfied now, or if the new buyer is willing to assume that becomes an issue during the real estate negotiation process. But any reputable title company, both for the buyer or the seller, is going to see that letter of specials right away, and they're going to jump on it and say, okay, however you guys decide to handle it, but it needs to be addressed. It has to be taken care of, or somebody's not going to provide title insurance to the property.
I do have one more question, if I may. Is there anything thought of or in the works as far as speed? Because Mather Street tends to be a very fast-moving residential street. And now that it's going to be nice and smooth, I anticipate that getting even worse.
Is it 25 right now?
It is 25 right now, but it is pretty common to see people going more like 40.
Oh yeah, believe me. At Ninth Street, and we saw that car go airborne and take out a house. So I would work with, I think it's Alderman Stoyer or Alderman Scannell, and see if we can get some more enforcement. But I'd work closely with him and see what you can do to do traffic calming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, the fact that it's being put in there? Okay. One of the other things that staff just let me know about, with the Mather Street reconstruction, that's actually also going to have bike facilities as part of that. Okay. And what we found in other projects is the installation of those bike facilities on street has also helped to kind of bring the speeds down, knowing that drivers are sharing the road with bicyclists.
Is that going to take the place of what is currently kind of a parking lane
At
for
least,
residents?
yeah. And there again, I think when I was addressing somebody earlier, I was talking about the difference between our design criteria and the DOT's design criteria. in order to accept that DOT money, we have to follow their rules. And their rules coming from federal highways are we have to provide those bike accommodations. It's either that or we don't take the money.
So there will be no parking on Mather Street?
Is there none at all in the present site?
We are eliminating no parking.
Right.
Yep.
The on-street parking on Mather will be going away.
One quick question for Steve then would be, is that going to be a 5-foot wide bike lane or a 4-foot?
I think that's going to be a full.
I believe that is
a full straight lane.
Full bike lane.
Yes, so that'll be a 5-foot wide lane.
Okay, thank you.
The current roadway width will be maintained, just adding the bike lane.
Okay.
One thing I just want to clarify too, in regards to the special assessments, if those are extended out over the 5-year payment that Steve's referenced, there is an interest rate that does apply to that. Just to be clear on that, there's an interest rate of 4.75% that would be applied. So just so everybody's aware of that.
Why is it with the interest? I can see it going on
Well,
your taxes.
I'm just gonna, I appreciate you offering the information, but if you do have more questions, then just, we'll come back through the regular, just to keep it kind of directed up at the committee. And I appreciate staff offering the information, but everything should come up here, and just to keep it flowing. So if you want to move to the next one, or jump back to.
Your pleasure.
Well, if you want to go ahead with your question.
I'm just wondering, I don't mind it being on your taxes every year, but then it should not be taxed, I mean, with the interest. I can see it, you know, like, okay, I gotta pay $500 for 5 years. I can see not charging you interest for that money, because how are we supposed to find that? I mean, our taxes are $2,000 now or more than that, you know, so now it's gonna be $3,000, and
well, and I think Steve,
I could see not charging you the interest for 5 years.
Director Grenier.
The reason for the interest is because if you don't pay the assessment in full, then the city has to borrow money in order to pay that. We're essentially fronting the money on behalf of the property owner because the contractor needs to be paid. Okay? So when we borrow the money, we're incurring an interest charge for that borrowing. We're passing that interest charge along to those folks who are taking the payment plan.
And where does all the money go for our taxes?
Taxes go to a variety of different places.
All right, well, hopefully that helped answer it.
If you get really bored sometime in late October or early November, our budget hearings actually go on sometimes for 10, 11 hours.
Really?
To discuss what the taxes are paid. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a good question, and, you know, and like, I know your point is, okay, you gotta have the money, but we just paid our taxes, and, you know.
Anybody else, Director?
So then relative to the Erie Road project, we've got Craig Gazella at 1110 Folkestone Drive.
Hi, I just got a question on the assessments. When we did a sale to the city for that property, for the running the road through Mason,
okay,
we did an agreement that any assessments that were going to be put upon the property be deferred until that property is sold.
Yes.
So that will carry through?
Yes.
Okay. Because on the form here, it didn't say that. So
that was part of the acquisition on Mason Street.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. That's it. Simple. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last is John Bucker, 3184 Morning Woods Court.
John Bucker, 3184 Morning Woods Court. My question right now to everybody is that Wisconsin just passed a law, the governor signed it last week, where the city was going to put the sewer through our land and couldn't count the wetlands.
Well, there are a variety of issues. Wetlands is one of them.
Now, seeing that law is enacted, can't they, try moving that back to where it was so we wouldn't have to go down Erie Road and tear up all that concrete?
Well, like I said, the wetlands were one issue. There was also some issues relative to encapsulating a navigable stream. There was issues relative to us being able to acquire the permits from DNR and possibly Corps of Engineers that we need in order to get that sewer in this year yet.
Okay, and
And we do have to have that sewer in this year.
okay. And then the other question I had, is there gonna be a regional pond for this project?
No.
Would that be a good idea to possibly have a regional pond made?
For the sewer project, there's no need for,
Well, your storm sewer has to get picked up.
the storm sewer is tying into the roadside ditches along East Mason Street. So the roadside ditches along East Mason Street are instead of a wet pond,
Right.
the vegetated ditches are also an approved treatment facility.
But most ditches are gonna be gone because you're doing curb and gutter.
No, if you look on Mason Street, there are still ditches behind the curb and gutter.
Mason, but not Erie Road.
Right, but we're draining Erie down to Mason, we're going into the ditches, so those ditches are still there.
All right, that's the only thing I had to see if we could possibly pull back, but, and then with all the wetland on where Nature's Way is going, how are you getting rid of the wetland?
On the property itself?
Yeah.
We're not touching, we're not involved in that, that's private development. They're working with the DNR on that, not us.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Bunker. Anybody else that wanted to talk? Sure, Mr. Gazelle.
On this form, it has the storm, sewer, and sanitary assessment. Is there water?
Water, I believe, is already passed. Okay, so in 2 weeks, we're gonna have another assessment hearing to discuss the utilities.
Okay.
This is just the pavement one.
Okay.
Yep. And just for the council's edification, refresher, if it's new installation, that's when we talk about assessments for utilities. If the utilities exist out there already and we're replacing or upgrading them, that's when we don't assess. So out here, there are areas that are currently not serviced by sanitary, not serviced by water, not serviced by storm sewer, and they're rural roads. So that fits under the assessment policy. Whereas Smith, St. George, and Mather already have those infrastructure. So for us to go in and rehabilitate or replace the existing, that's when we do not assess those. So that's why we had the pavement assessments tonight on Erie, and we'll be having the utility assessments in 2 weeks.
Okay, then I'll ask another question. What about connection charge? What's the difference between a connection charge and then just a footage charge? They don't want to be connected right now.
The connection charge represents let's go to the assessment. The assessment is for the main.
Mm-hmm.
The connection charge is from the point of connection at the main over to your property. Okay. So for the lateral, rather than, what we don't want to do, somebody spoke earlier about digging the road up again in a couple of years' time, okay? Last thing the road we want to do is we want to run that sewer down Erie Road, and then somebody who has your property decides to improve it, put a house on it, put a business on it, whatever, and then they need to go out and tap into the sewer, and they're going to dig up a brand new road.
But then that should be their problem. No. Because they're wanting to connect to it. I don't want to connect to it.
Well, maybe yes, maybe no. Again, I don't necessarily make the rules. We're charged with enforcing them, okay? So what we do when we're doing a street like this is we'll bring the lateral out to the property line,
Right, I understand that.
and then that's the connection charge that's the connection charge, and then the main is the main.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I have one question on Webster.
Sure.
And that, is there going to be a bike lane on that, Webster?
Webster is going to have both bike lanes on street. There will be a 5-foot bike lane on either side of Webster. Then on the east side of Webster, off the road, there will be a 10-foot wide multi-use path.
So in other words, there'll be no pathway on the east side of the street?
I'm sorry, that's on the east side.
Oh,
On
but
the west side, there will only be the sidewalk that's out there
Oh,
existing.
okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else? Anyone else? I'll entertain a
But
motion.
there's something going on in the middle of Webster, right?
One more.
What's called a boulevard. It'd be grassy. like a grass divider.
Going once, going twice? Go ahead, Mrs.
Now you mentioned the grass divider, is that necessary? That's actually an extra cost, isn't it, for Webster?
That's something that was voted on by the Common Council,
Last year.
was it last year?
So,
The
quite a
final
while.
design was either last year or 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is an extra cost, isn't it, to put in the dividers or the boulevards?
Originally, what we looked at was draining the pavement. Normally, the roads slope to the outside.
Right.
We looked at draining some of that pavement back, and I think some of it, do we have the inside lanes reversed? Okay. The inside lanes, at the very least, are going to drain back towards that median, and we're going to have the ability for the water to get down into that grass. That's going to serve as a stormwater management feature. When you get a long section of road like that, somebody asked about regional ponds, okay? You have to do the stormwater management. You got to treat that stormwater. You can't just dump it. When you get a corridor like Webster Avenue, it gets really difficult finding a place to put a pond. So you've got to start thinking outside the box at ways you can treat the stormwater. So I came here in 2007, and all the way back then, we were looking at using that median for stormwater management.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to return back up here.
Move to return to the regular order of business.
Motion by Alderman Nennig, second by Alderman Vanderleest to return to the regular order of business. Under discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Questions or motion, that committee?
Well, we've had similar hearings like this before, and a lot of people are always saying, what about the wheel tax, and can we wait? And, you know, I've been on the council for 4 years, and I remember discussions about the wheel tax going back probably just as long. We can't promise anybody that a wheel tax is going to pass. I can't tell you that this new council is going to pass it. You know, people have comments in the paper, but that doesn't always pan out. I'm not going to be here to vote on it, but you know, the new people on the council will. The wheel tax is a bit of a complicated issue. It doesn't mean when you pass the wheel tax, all of a sudden you've got this money that you can do projects. There's a delay in collecting it. The DOT collects it, and you know there's a delay in when you have enough money to start using that to do your projects. So money's not there immediately, and it is a little bit complicated. We've had discussions here at this committee with different proposals. You know, do you just use it for repaving and for eliminating special assessments? Do you just do it on residential property, or what about other classes of property? What about bridges? What about alleys? You know, it became a pretty complicated issue. I'm always sympathetic with people that come here and talk about, you know, the difficulty paying for special assessments, because, you know, they hit you. I got hit, I'm on a corner, and I got hit with special assessments on 2 streets, and paid, well, in 2 different years, but paid a total of $2,400 for special assessments, and I'm in an older neighborhood, you know. And a lot of people have gotten big special assessments, so I'm always sympathize with that. But on the other hand, we also get complaints about the condition of roadways and railroad tracks and bridges and alleys, and you know, so the city's always tried to look at this in a reasonable manner. And you know, when I look at the list of projects we've got here, this is not a real big list compared to what we've had, you know, in some other years. The projects that are here are related to other things that are going on. You know, the Erie Road improvements. You know, there's Nature's Way going in out there, and some improvements need to be made in order to accommodate that development. And we have development agreements that we have to meet. Mather Street, that's been in the works for I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years.
At least, yeah.
Somewhere, maybe longer. And there, we've had the engineering work done on it. We've had the agreements with the State Department of Transportation on it. And the things on Smith and St. George, they're being looked at because of what's going on Webster Street and on Smith. There have been complaints about drainage and other issues there. So I think the city is trying to be as proactive as we can on this to try to deal with the issues in as reasonable a manner as we can. I wish I could say that we just delay any projects until the council decides on a wheel tax, but I can't tell you when that's going to be. I have no clue.
Any other comments, Alderman Hennig or Alderman Vanderleest?
I think the projects that we're working on, I think it's time that they get going on, because it all ties in, just like Dave talked about the university, in Webster Street. I think that it's not a long list as far as what we're going to do for road improvements for the fiscal year for 2018. I think it's something that we have to act on now.
There's no other discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Can I just make one more comment? Do you mind?
Well, we would have to open the floor. You certainly can. It'll be up to the committee.
I'll make a motion to open the floor to hear from interested parties.
Thank you.
Motion by Alderman Hennig, second by Alderman Vanderleest to open the floor. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You just want to come up here?
I'm Patty Dietrich. I live at 1161 Smith Street. That street has flooded for more than 30 years, consistently when it rains. This can't be delayed any longer. We make a joke that it's waterfront property. So, this will definitely increase the value of our homes and make them more sellable, which is important to people too. So I just encourage you not to put it on the back burner any longer. It's very important to all of us that live on that street. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right.
Move to close the floor.
Motion by Alderman Hennig, second by Alderman Vanderleest to return to the regular order of business. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve projects.
I think would the appropriate motion be to order improvements and levy assessments?
Yes.
Is that your?
Yes.
Motion by
I'll second the motion.
Alderman Vanderleest, second by Alderman Hennig to order the improvements and to levy assessments. Any discussion on that? Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now this does go to council, or no, this is the front, yeah, okay. So our recommendations will go to council next week. Tuesday is a council meeting, so that's when the new Alder people will be sworn in, and then this will be one of the items that the council will bring up. So you're welcome to go there as well. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Alderman Hennig, second by Alderman Vanderleest to adjourn. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Hey, John, thank you for listening. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Well, the thing is,
I just want to say, I'm not John's wife. We just bought the house on Liberty. Sherwood.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't even.
We own the house on Liberty.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, I liked your Christmas card. I didn't expect that. I told Gilbert about it.
Yes, he felt so bad.